Hi, everyone. This week, what's come up for me is, and it's been coming up for a while, is trying to make a bit of sense about vulnerability. So I'm doing a mastery program, and the challenge in the last week is to look at vulnerability and also look at the invulnerabilities that are not showing up for you or that you're not being vulnerable about. One of the things that I've spoken about with a couple of people so far this week is vulnerability, and then sharing, and putting boundaries around your sharing. So a couple of things happened for me last year where I was given feedback that I'd overshared, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. And then it was like, well, how do I work out where the boundary should be, and what do I share and what don't I share? And in these programs that I've been doing over the last 2 years, I'm starting to get an understanding of what vulnerability is, and really what, for me, what it is, and we've spoken about this today, is that, it's an internal thing. It's not showing vulnerability or feelings to someone else. It's how it works for you and then what you do about it. And with that, then it starts to give you a sense of what you should be sharing, and what you're not sharing, and what you need to think about the other people. So we talked about other things coming up, like compassion for other people, love for yourself, love for other people, caring, courage. Even, sometimes you don't want to share because you got to be more courageous to do that. And all of these things are mixing up in my thoughts over particularly over the last week, and it's just giving me pause again to think about where am I at with vulnerability, and what are the invulnerable things that I'm not attending to
within yourself,
that I should be attending to, or I want to attend to, not should, I want to attend to. Firstly, what are they? How do you find them, and how do they show up? And one of the things is a program that I'm doing. The way that the program is rolling out is different to what I'm used to and what I roll out in my programs. And it's like, and then I find myself laughing about it. I was laughing today talking to someone around, hey, this is just a good indicator of, hey, there's something else out there that you need to be conscious of, and not just blame it, well, because I'm having a hard time trying to follow it or whatever it is, but just not blame it, and look at that from an internal point of view, and what is that saying for me?
So I think if I summarized what I'm hearing from you is that even a couple of years ago, as you were processing a lot of changes in your life, vulnerability to you by definition was sharing how you felt.
No, actually, no, because my personality profile is towards introversion, so I would keep a lot of stuff to myself.
Yeah.
So it's only in the last 2 years that's been changing. But I think it's gone from not saying anything to just saying too much. Yeah, and not thinking about those boundaries, not thinking about the compassion for the other person that's also hearing it. And that's been building over the last 2 years. Yeah.
And do you think as you became more vulnerable, as you shared more and your willingness to communicate about your thoughts and your feelings, did you feel like that started within you first? Like, how did that start for you?
Yeah, it has to come from within you. Yeah, and that's what's been building with me.
What built within you?
Well, the love for myself, for one, forgiveness for myself for the things that I don't get right, courage, compassion, and that definitely was a big one for me. That I wasn't particularly compassionate about other things along the way. Not that I was going out of my way to hurt anyone, but it was just I didn't give a lot of time to that. Gratitude is another one. Gratitude has gone through the roof for me over the last 2 years, which initially, when I was thinking about it, was like, what the hell? How's this working? And then thinking, well, yeah, and, I'm valuing life because it's, I've had someone in my life that's been taken away. And all those things have just, and there's a whole bunch of other things around that as well. Care is a big one as well. But care, and one of the things with care for me in this process is caring deeply about some stuff and then not caring about a lot of the other stuff around the periphery, which has been freeing. Yeah.
Right. Makes perfect sense. And what a great time in your life. I think it maps back to the fact that we have talked about on a number of these podcasts, the idea that when so-called difficult things happen that cause you grief, pain, sadness, or loss, that what can come from that is a new way of being.
Yeah, absolutely.
An internal transformation. And none of those things were possible.
Yeah.
But none of those things, you can see literally the new way of being from that within you, because it was an internal process. It opened up within you gratitude. It opened up within you vulnerability. It opened up within you compassion.
Yeah.
That you hadn't had before. And so you're a different person. Like if I'd met you 10 years ago,
I'd be different. Yeah, very different person. I can even remember, this is going way back. I went back to South Africa in 2010 to the World Cup, and I met with some of my schoolmates, and they're good mates of mine. And one of them said, "Oh, you're a bit of an asshole at school." And it's like, what are you talking about? We had a really good group. We did a lot of stuff. It's like, where did that come from? And we had a laugh about it, and we talked about it. It's like, but there were things happening in my life then that he didn't know about.
Yeah, that probably gave you a hard edge. Or
something. That's right. Yeah. So, yeah.
So my, what I would add to what you've done, because I think you've described it really well, is that an inner vulnerability comes first. And the way I would describe that, so that you can get a different definition for what I'm talking about, is it's a willingness to look at your own thoughts, beliefs, and feelings that are driven by your experiences in life. And that inner vulnerability to your own being is always the first step for me in working in then making a decision about whether I share something. So like this happens with clients a lot. So I had a client call this afternoon with a new client, but I kind of know her personally as well, but she's also a new client. But she didn't know about the ending of my relationship. And it's like that moment where, do I share that or not?
Yeah.
Because, we've got this culture where it's like, do people really want to know about that at work? And I look within myself and I'm like, well, who am I? And what am I about? And it's like, she's going to ask me, how are you?
Yeah.
Right?
And what are you going to say?
And how are the kids?
Yeah.
And it's like, I have to share.
Yeah.
Because, but I didn't share in the sense of, I said, oh yeah, I was devastated.
Yeah.
And it was awful. And it was what I said, we've separated and we're really good friends and we're in a really good place. And I'm out the other side of the process, and at times it was hard, but it wasn't all awful.
Yeah.
And it was actually at the end of the call, she said, she didn't say sorry. She didn't say anything about it being a problem. She said, you know what? I'm so glad you shared that because it makes me feel normal.
Yeah.
All the shit that's going on in my life and all the stuff that we all carry around, I wish we just all talked about it a bit more.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that was, that's, I think, relationship building and enhancing. So I think it's for me, it feels right like to share,
Yeah.
but you've also got to be conscious to what extent you share and how appropriate it is to the relationship you've got with the other person, and to what extent it sits within their boundaries of what's appropriate for them.
And that comes back to the compassion. If you've got compassion for yourself and compassion for the other person, you can then create that boundary a little easier. It's not easy. Creating the boundary is ridiculously hard. But it gives you a little bit more of an idea of what to share and what not to share, and when to share it as well.
But I think if you're pushing your pain away inside of you, so you know how you can push your pain away with lots of things, with drugs, alcohol,
anything,
right?
Just distractions,
food, walking, like anything you want to do. But if you are not engaged in your own internal reality, you'll just say in those moments, "How you good?"
Fine's a great word, isn't it? Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you go, you know what, I've been working on these 5 things inside me all week. But it does mean you are more accessible because you're more vulnerable to your own humanity.
And really good point what you brought up there with her response about, I feel normal now. And I think that's the problem when we go around and we all have these masks, and no one has an actual conversation, but we all have a lot more in common than we think.
So I think hopefully as you listen to this, you can appreciate what vulnerability might be for you. I think in our conversation, Kevin and I found out and have defined the fact that vulnerability is an internal state of being to start with. You got to be vulnerable to your own thoughts and feelings, and vulnerable to yourself. And then you make a choice about how much of that you share. And when you do share it, it can be really, really rewarding for other people. Because it can open up conversations and make them feel validated for their own human experience. And that's why I think vulnerability can be so powerful.
And then the connection builds for a start. So this trust, all those sorts of things. And even as you were talking about, we've talked about a number of times about vibrations. It changes the vibration
of a relationship. Say vibrator.
No, mate. Come on, cut that out.
Anyway, vibrations.
Vibrations, and that takes that conversation to another level. The relationship to another level. Absolutely. And even the relationship internally to another level.
Have a wonderful week. Hope this has been useful, and love your work, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you next time.